Hi, this is Ken Gottfried, and I want to address the problem with Jon Stewart and his issue on guns. While he thinks he has the solution, and only he has a solution, I'm going to say something from a fellow New Jerseyite, Edison, New Jersey, that I hope comes to my heart and makes him think, maybe I should think a little deeper into this. Jon, you're fucking wrong. You're absolutely fucking wrong. You're looking at this like only domestic violence is caused by guys. Domestic violence is 60 to 65% that happens to guys. Well, why didn't you have a father on there whose wife didn't allow him to see his kids? How come you're not putting that type of domestic violence? And I know you are in a marriage and a happy one and can see your kids and do all this stuff. But you are missing the entire point on what you're trying to say. If you want to talk about guns and domestic violence, you need to start talking about the family court. Because domestic violence, 90% of all that shit starts in family court. Okay? And where it starts at, and a lot of it happens, I'm not saying all of it, but a lot of it happens is when people and lawyers and judges use kids to literally put wedges between the parents. You are not even addressing any of that. Okay? Hey, you didn't have a guy on there to say, hey, listen, I haven't seen my kids. I personally have not seen my daughters in 8 years. Up there, that's my daughter. Okay? You don't address what happens to a guy when, for me, I was lucky. The silver bullet was not even a factor in this, okay? They said, oh, I was a drunk. I don't drink. I'm Jewish like you. I don't really drink that much. What are we going to do? Manischewitz? No, we're not. But in court, I'm the devil. And they refused to let me see my kids. And it went on for 3 years, okay? And now it's been 8 years. They're above the age. And you don't think that torments a guy? From I love my kids to I have a person who literally put a wedge in between me and my kids. But that wouldn't even happen if it wasn't for the unjust criminals who call themselves judges. These people, literally, they willfully make money from separating families and destroying families. And yeah, you're saying, well, how do they make money? They make money from Title 4D. I have literally wrote 3 books, and they're not great books, I'll tell you right now. But you have to ask yourself, when you're talking about all this, when you're talking about domestic violence, you're talking about guns and stuff, gee, what would make a guy go ballistic? Just out of curiosity. Oh, take away his children? Frame him as a pedophile, as an unfit father. Do whatever you can for that, so her anger, so that woman's anger, or that father's anger, because it happens on both sides. Frame that person as unstable or whatever. I kind of look at right now because I'm so emotional. See, what you don't understand, Jon, you don't understand is I have seen 150 suicides, and we're talking also vets. You want to talk about why vets are killing themselves? Gee, take away their kids. Tell them that they're unstable. Tell them that they're dangerous to their children. Isolate them. And also, do it with these corrupt judges. And I know you are a law-abiding, you praise the cops and praise the judges. No, fuck them, okay? When you go to a sheriff and you say, I want to file child abuse charges against this judge, and not physical, not sexual, but psychological, which does as much damage as sexual or physical, and the sheriff refuses to write anything down, refuses to file a case against that judge because he's got to go in front of that judge every day. No, that you don't understand what a parent goes through. You don't understand what a parent has to deal with. I mean, how would you feel if after 12 years and your daughter's going to school and going to high school and you can't make it to their high school graduation and be there to support them? How about when they go through college and you're not there? How about when they're going on their first dates, learning how to drive, and you can't even be a part of that? John, you need to listen to what I'm saying. I am not the only one. I am literally one of a million people that get separated by family court every fucking year. And it's not just me pulling these numbers out of my ass. You can look at the Jennifer Jill Harmon study from Colorado State University. You can ask some of these people who understand psychological child abuse and what it does and how it affects children. You can look at how damaging this is to every parent that is put in this position where they can't see their kids, or they're limited time to see their kids because all of a sudden they're considered dangerous. You know how easy it is to say, I'm sorry, my husband was in the war over in Afghanistan and Iraq, and he's really dangerous. Yeah, he can't see the kids. Take his guns. Oh, that's what we're talking about. Taking people's guns. Yeah, that's going to really fucking help. That's going to really help. That's our Second Amendment right. I'll tell you what, stop taking away people's rights. People have a right to see their kids. Are you all about equal rights for women and children, women and men? Then easy. Give them equal rights and equal parenting, during a family court thing. No, they're fighting it tooth and nail because, as you said on your goddamn show, only men are abusers. Only men are domestic abusers. But according to the CDC, 65% of men are abused. I'm really fucking pissed at you, John. And the reason I'm pissed at you is I followed you fucking ever since you've been on the Daily Show. And I've agreed with 90% of what you're saying. But you have to understand, I haven't seen my daughters in 8 years. I haven't been a part of their lives. I haven't got a call. I haven't got a reply text. I haven't got an answer to any of my messages. This is psychological abuse. This shit doesn't happen unless they've been abused. I have seen over 150 suicides of parents because this has happened to them. Oh, wow. Yeah. 22%, 22 vets kill themselves every day. You need to also see how many of those vets are in family court. How many of them are abused by judges in family court? Yeah. Oh, I had denial of rights so many times in family court, but not one lawyer would come up and stand up and say, no, I'll do this. Every one of them said, oh, that's a judge. No, I got to work. I can't lose everything. Yeah, because if they go and sue a judge, and this is not just me, this is almost every parent who's going through this bullshit. If they say you can't see your kids, that's fine. If it's a week, if it's a couple weeks. But they kept it going. The delays, the everything, all that other stuff. The psychological damage it does to a parent. The psychological damage it does to a kid. Oh, I don't want to be with that parent because they're dangerous. Even the judge said so. Because the judges do this willy-nilly. Even the American Psychological Association, they wrote a letter, I think you remember, about the separation of children and parents at the border. And they knew, oh, this is important, we need to write a letter to President Trump. And so they wrote a letter. So I wrote them a letter back. And I said, if that's such an issue, how come you're not addressing the separation of parents and children that are going through family court? You know what they said? Nothing. Because they couldn't say anything. It's in one of my books called Victim. It's, why won't you answer that? Why won't you go out and tell people separating parents and children is so dangerous psychologically? They won't answer it. And you know why? Because they're part of the system. All this group makes money, tons of money, from ripping apart families. You're talking about guns, and I know that needs to be talked about. But what you're not talking about is the real reason, and people being separated from their children, their loving children. Now, I know you'll understand this. You have children. But imagine that they run up to you and they love you and they kiss you and you tell them bedtime stories and you go for hikes and you're doing everything with them. You taught them soccer. You go to their games. And then literally within 6 weeks, they flip. They're afraid of you. They hate you. Mine, they wanted me dead when they spoke to the judge. Jon, you're missing the real point. It's not the guns. It is the family courts that cause most of this. When you look at the first 26 of the 28 first shooters, 26 of them didn't have a father figure because they were pulled out of their house. They were also on psychotropic drugs. Oh, we shouldn't touch that either. Jon, you need to stop being fake news, opinionated, and being in an echo chamber. You need to start speaking to adults and parents that have seen this stuff. I wrote one of my other books. It's called Killing Judges. It's on Amazon. Both of them are on Amazon. And it is because these judges in family court don't care. They don't care at all. They don't give a shit about what they do to families, parents. They don't care that they're missing life moments that you'll never get back. Their job is to make money for the state. Title 4D, for every dollar, for every $10,000 that is spent in child support, they get that as a grant to their state. That's how this game works. The more money they make, the more money everybody in that field makes. And they can't afford to lose literally $80 billion a year that goes to these states. I want to repeat that. $80 billion that goes from federal to states to help them out. Okay? What you're also not hearing is all the money that's wrapped up with forensic psychologists, this gals, and of course, their friends, the other attorneys who show up in front of them every day. There are people that abuse kids. In my case, Judge Hal Harrison, Judge Warren Hughes abused my children psychologically. That's why I haven't been able to speak to them or get to them. They also had a therapist who was found guilty of ethics violations, by the North Carolina Licensed Board of Professional Counselors. Did that make a difference? No, that didn't make a difference. So when you're talking about guns, you need to go deeper. You need to also ask other opinions, father's opinions, mom's opinions from the different avenue of being ostracized, having claims thrown against them. I mean, crazy claims that you would never do, but they're there in family court just to get you destabilized so you can't react. Jon, please investigate this. There are hundreds and hundreds of sites now on Facebook about parental alienation. And hold on, parental alienation is a lightning rod. And what it stands for is shared persecutory delusion. It's in the DSM-5 under V995.51. It's psychological abuse. It's also there's so many different levels of this. The name parental alienation is just a name for psychological abuse of a child. Imagine going through your life and not seeing your daughters. This is just one for 8 years and missing that time. Jon, get both sides.